So I'm going to conclude with 17 very short pieces of practical advice for you that are not intellectual at all, but have helped me when I was in your shoes 10 years ago. And you can feel free to reject them or accept them as you see fit. So the first one is mentors. Stay close to your mentors always. This was terribly important for me. I remember I had a professor, Joseph Prudhomme, when I was doing a fellowship program, who literally spent 3 months working with me to get one single article published. I mean, he literally spent hours. He bought me breakfast after breakfast, poured himself into helping me get this article into perfect condition so that I could publish it, right? That's crazy. And it's not like I paid him or anything, right? That was just like time and energy that he was pouring into me. Similarly, as you go on throughout your life, just keep your mentors updated, even if it's like a short email, like every 6 months, so they know you're alive, they know what you're doing. Like, they're going to have job opportunities that come to them, and the first thing in their mind is, people will ask them all the time, hey, I need to hire someone to do this. They're going to probably think of 1 or 2 people. There probably could be 20 people that they think of, but they think of the 1 or 2 people that email them on occasion or meet them for breakfast when they're traveling. Similarly, when you get a new job, some of these mentors are on boards of organizations. They're going to go to bat for you in the hiring process. And then, maybe you make a mistake in your life and everything comes crashing down. They're the ones who you give a call who can help you to pick up the pieces. Secondly, friends. In terms of friends, find friends that are more ambitious and virtuous than you are. Because it's literally true. You rise to the level of your friends or you sink to the level of your friends. So find ones that are better than you and you'll find yourself rising to their level. Number 3, credibility can be transferred by association. What I mean by that is on points number 1 and number 2, people, their opinion of you is going to be based on who are your mentors, who are your friends, and what institutions are you involved with. And that can be to your benefit or to your detriment, but to your benefit, you can really leverage that. No one, unless you're born to famous parents or have a ton of money, like no one's really going to know who you are when you're 22 and you graduate college, but they might know who, Jeff Paulette is if he writes you a letter of recommendation, right? They might know Elizabeth Corey. They might know other people in your life that you're associated with. They might know the college that you went to, and so they're going to give you the benefit of the doubt based on your affiliations. Number 3, practice self-knowledge and self-discipline. In terms of self-knowledge, I would encourage you to keep a journal. Some of the most successful CEOs that I know, an incident arose, and I was talking to this one CEO, and I asked him, what happened back in 2003. And he was able to say, okay, hold on 1 second. He went to his bookshelf. He pulled out a journal from 2003. He flipped to the month of May, literally to the date. And he knew exactly what happened on that day, right? So you can use it either to process your feelings, but also to just kind of keep track of what has happened, the people that you've met, the conversations that you've had throughout the course of your life. In terms of self-discipline, I'm just going to come out and say it. I think religion is the foundation for self-discipline. Psalm 103 tells us that the Lord has established his throne in heaven and his kingdom rules over all. That is really what life is about, no matter what you're doing, no matter what stage of life you're in. So I'd encourage you to have a prayer rule to wake up in the morning and first thing to acknowledge Almighty God sitting on his throne. And secondly, I would encourage you to practice confession. So if you're Orthodox or Catholic, that's easy. That's part of your tradition. If you're Protestant, you can still take time, set aside time on a monthly basis to examine your conscience and to confess your sins. Because you can't, no matter what you accomplish in life, if you don't have goodness, virtue, and the foundation of a rightly ordered soul, it will mean nothing. Number 5, the answer is always no unless you ask. You might ask yourself, why are the people in my life who have influence or power or money, not doing more for me? Why aren't they coming to me with ideas? The reality is you have to come to them and ask, right? This is the same thing with donors. I do a lot of fundraising. You might have a donor who has, they might be worth $500 million. They might be giving your organization $25,000 a year. And you might be sitting there saying, why on earth are they not giving me $500,000 a year? I know they can afford it. Well, most of the time, they want to be treated respectfully, they want to be engaged, right? They want to resonate with the mission. Most of the time they're not giving you $500,000 is because no one has ever sat down with them and said, hey, I've got a really cool plan, here's the impact, can I have $500,000? You would be surprised at how many doors can open up personally, professionally, if you literally just ask for something. Number 6, find your niche and own it and delegate the rest. You can make a lot more progress in your career if you find like 1 or 2 things that you're actually really good at and get better than them than focusing on the areas that you're bad at and trying to make improvements. There might be some times when you have to improve in things that you're bad at, especially if it's actually part of your job responsibilities, but more often than not, you're going to get further finding the one thing that you're really good at and making yourself great in that area. Number 7, scare yourself by getting in over your head from time to time. Courage is not the absence of fear, but it's moving forward in spite of the fear that you feel in your chest. So if you're scaring yourself all the time, then something's probably wrong. But if from time to time you're not saying, oh crap, like I feel like I'm maybe a little in over my head, then I think you're also doing something wrong. Another piece of advice, number 8, that a pastor gave me, if everyone loves you, something might be wrong, but if everyone hates you, you're probably just being an asshole. Number 9, a good friend of mine recently told me, I've never taken a job that I know how to do. I've never taken a job that I know how to do. So often in life, you'll get the job first, right? You'll sell your ability to do the job, then you'll get the job, and then you have to learn the skills on the job. Or you're already currently in a job, and you see that your organization has some need, and you don't know how to fill that need, but you want to be the person to fill that need, and so you'll sign up for the job, and then you'll like order the books on Amazon or pull up YouTube, and you'll literally teach yourself how to do that job. Number 10, be the person who shows up with a solution or a plan to find a solution and not the one who just points out the problem. Number 11, when you mess up in your first job, give a simple apology. Don't mention excuses or give a lengthy explanation. I actually learned that the first time that I was at ISI when I made some mistake with a donor. And the president at the time, Chris Long, wrote a really angry sort of email in response. And so I decided, instead of just saying, sorry, Chris, shouldn't have done it, won't happen again, I wrote, like 5 paragraphs, and then I sent it back to him with like all these other vice presidents CC'd on the email. And then I very quickly got pulled to the side and was like, no, Chris did not like that. Just apologize and don't do it. He doesn't need a treatise on why you were actually right in making the mistake. Number 12, don't let money be an obstacle to pursuing a bold dream. When I say that, I'm not saying pursue a bold dream without a financial plan, because you can pursue a bold dream without a financial plan. What I'm saying is don't let money get in the way. Money is probably the easiest problem to solve in life. It's much harder to learn a skill or practice discipline. It's probably harder to get out of bed in the morning and say your prayers than it is to like raise $1 million. It's true. Like if you have a good idea, if you have a sound plan to get there, you can find people who are going to be willing to support that dream. That's the easy thing. It's much harder to practice self-discipline. So don't let money be an obstacle to pursuing your dreams. Number 13 gets back to the earlier point about job skills. See career development as creative problem solving. You might think you know what you want to do now. You're probably going to change your mind, change your jobs like multiple times by the time you're 30. And most of the things that you discover that you really like to do, you probably didn't even know before you got your job. These talents, these skills were emergent based on challenges that you have at work, and then you teach yourself a skill, and then maybe that spins off and you start your own company with that new skill you learned. Maybe you don't go to work for a different organization learning the skill that you taught yourself on your job. So I think your passions are emergent, and your approach to problem solving needs to be creative, and that'll actually lead to the next stage or the next chapter in your career. Number 14, almost done. We got 17 here. Reject the, quote, I'm not smart enough to do what he or she did mentality. Reject the I'm not smart enough mentality. The 3 reasons for that. The first one is that it's almost never the smartest people that get ahead. It's the most competent, the most connected, the most disciplined, the most ambitious, and the most kind people, the people that treat each other well, that actually make it ahead. Number 2, if you're in this room, you're probably smart enough to hold your own in most circles, so I wouldn't worry about that at all. And number 3, like me personally, as Johnny Burtka, like I'm rarely the smartest person in the room that I'm sitting in, and that's okay, because it's like, okay, I know the things that I'm good at, and I lean into those things, and then the goal is just to hire and surround yourself with the most brilliant people as possible who can do the other things. And so I actually enjoy, and this is the case with many of the professors, right, in this room. Like I enjoy talking to them and hearing them go to a level of depth that I know is not only just interesting for me, but I know it's like my brain cannot function, I cannot plumb those depths. And so I'm happy that you can be here to explain that for me. And that should not make you feel insecure. That's actually, you want to surround yourself with those kind of people. Number 15, never burn a bridge unless it's absolutely necessary. In this conservative world in particular, these people are literally going to circle around your life. Like sometimes there might be seasons when you're working a ton with this person or that person. Then 5 or 10 years later, like they're always going to just keep coming back. So don't burn bridges unnecessarily. Number 16, there's almost zero correlation between having the correct ideology and your competence as an employee or as a person, right? I've known people who believe everything that I believe about politics who are just absolutely terrible, like dysfunctional at doing their job. Other people have different set of beliefs or ideas than I do who are just absolutely amazing and crush it at their job. So disabuse yourself of the fact that there is some connection between believing the right ideas and actually being competent in your work. And finally, number 17, which is really sort of my theory of everything, is to build an ecosystem. What I mean by that is, when it comes to economics, right, if you're going to have a healthy economy, you need basic ingredients. You need things like the rule of law, you need private property. If you're going to have a free society, you need certain institutions, churches, civil society for it to function. If you're going to have a healthy social life, a life with your friends, you really need to be a convening mechanism, right? You need to bring together people like you all, especially here at the Honors Conference, bring together good people, good ideas, show them hospitality, get them in the same place, and it's from those moments and those experiences that exciting things will happen. New ideas will come to your mind, new career opportunities, ideas to start a new company or a new publication. Like those don't happen in isolation. They happen when you're together and when you build out the right ecosystem with a spirit of hospitality. So in conclusion, I think there's a lot going on that's wrong with the country. I think principles and ideas are important, but right now in order to fix our present crisis, I'd encourage you to be focused on character development and also learning the skills that you need to make yourself indispensable to the organizations that you'll work for. Thank you.